Okay guys, well no launch party would be complete without make and takes, right? So if you registered for the make and take packet, should have received it in the mail, and it has the supplies that you're going to need to make 4 different projects. So just a little sampling of some of the new product. I love being able to get that in your hands and let you see it in person. If you did not register for a make and take packet, you're still welcome to watch the video and see the new products in action, and then you can get some inspiration. So we're still glad you're here, whether you're making the projects along with me or not. I'm still so glad you're here. Let me know if you have any questions at all about the projects or the products that we're using, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So the very first thing in your make and take packet is an in color project. I'm going to set these other envelopes aside. And the way that I do my packets, everything that you need for the project is inside your envelope. Be sure to watch for small pieces as well. And this is the first project that we're making. Now, we are using the in colors, so every year Stampin' Up! Retires 5 colors and then brings 5 new colors into the color family. And so in colors basically let the color line be refreshed, and it just brings some new and exciting colors to kind of brighten up things. Now this year especially, all 5 of these colors work really well together, but what's great is you can actually mix and match them with the colors that we have in the product line, and so it really refreshes and just brightens up what we already have. So these are awesome colors this year, y'all. We have Starry Sky, beautiful blue, and then I have to say right now Tahitian Tide is my absolute favorite new in color. Now that could change. Tomorrow I may have a different one, but right now Tahitian Tide, it's just really pretty teal. Then we've got Sweet Sorbet, kind of an orangey red. Parakeet Party. So if you love green, this is a nice, bright, fun green. Already have enjoyed using it quite a bit. And then the last new in color is Orchid Oasis. So it's got some purple hues to it, just a really pretty color. So you'll be seeing some of these colors in the projects that we're going to be making today. Okay, let's get started on this first little make and take. So I am actually using the sentiment from Sweet Songbird. It's a super cute little stamp set. It does have a coordinating punch that I forgot to pull out, but it is a really cute little bird set. And then let me grab the inks. So I have Starry Sky in another bin because we'll be using it, but we've got lots of different inks to choose from for our sentiment. I think for this card that I'm going to make with you, I'm going to stamp with Orchid Oasis. And I'll go ahead and get that sentiment stamp out. I did forget to get my piercing mat, but I can reach it. So you've got lots of little pieces, strips of in-color cardstock and just a basic white card base. This is our thick basic white, and I like using thick basic white for card bases. We put lots of beautiful things on the front of the card, so you want a substantial base that can really handle all of that. So our basic white is great, but thick basic white is awesome for card bases. And then I think with this one, I'm going to line everything up a little bit differently. So you've got lots and lots of options on how you put this card together. Use your creativity. This time I just kind of spaced it out a little bit, did my best to try to get everything even, and then just added the sentiment. But here we go. We will put this card together, and it's going to be something pretty quick and easy. And you just decide how you want your colors to go. These are just 3/4 inch strips of the cardstock. This is a super cute little layout and could be used so many different ways. I probably should have laid this out before I started, but I kind of practiced this yesterday. So my idea was I'm going to kind of add them on here a little bit wonky. Just make it a little bit fun. So I probably need to bring that up a tiny bit. But 3/4 inch strips of cardstock. You could certainly use designer series paper. You could also use your embossing folders and put a little bit of texture on your pieces of cardstock. That would be fun. Just kind of getting my spacing again. So this may not be for you. You may want it all lined up. So whatever you like. I thought this might be fun to do it a little bit wonky. And the benefit of that is I don't have to make sure everything is super, super straight, right? So as you can see, these colors work really well together, but they also play well with other colors from our collection. So lots of fun. Get that one lined up there. And I think I'm going to give it just a second to dry. And while I do that, I'll go ahead and stamp my sentiment, close my glue up. And then this scallop circle is cut from our glimmer paper. This is also available in the in colors. Now, you may have a different color than what I'm using. You have the strips of cardstock, but you may have a different color than what I am using for your glimmer paper, because I wanted to get a sampling out there to everyone. Trying to get that inked up good. It's not, there we go. I think that's better. And we'll just stamp this out the center of that circle. I'm going to put my stamp over here on my chamois to get that cleaned off. So I think this time, because I've kind of taken a wonky approach here, and I may put my sentiment up here where I've got that little hole, I think this time what I'm going to do is put my sentiment on a little bit askew as well. So just play with it and make it your own. Have fun with this. Super, super simple card, but I thought it turned out cute. So I'm going to bring this over to the side. And then I do think I'm going to add it right up there at the top. So lots of options. You could emboss those strips. You could use, oh, it just got glue on me. You could use designer series paper, whatever you prefer. And I'll pop that right up there. Now, when I made the kits up, I did not have the embellishments available. So I sent those out, gosh, I guess about a week ago. And they had not come in yet. So just add something. If you want a little bit of bling, just add something from your stash. That would be fine. But we do have these really cute little in color dots. Sorry, I should have already taken them out of the package. And I just added a couple. Didn't grab my take your pick tool. I'm not quite sure. There it is. Wasn't sure where it was. But we can add a couple dots to kind of fill in. Add some color. Now, if you have some rhinestones, I think that would be really cute. just like our bling, don't we? I think I want another little one, but I'll use one of the Parakeet Party. Maybe come right up there. Okay. So that is our first project. And I will put a share thread in the group, so as you're creating the projects, I know many of you will be substituting stamp sets. You may not have exactly what I'm using, and that's perfectly fine. So you can just substitute the sentiments. I try to design where you're able to just do something that works with what you already have in your stash. Okay, let me try to get some glue and ink off of my fingers. And we'll move on to our next project. So this next one has a really fun stamp set that we're using. And it is called Cup of Tea Bundle. So there's some awesome dies that coordinate with the stamp set. Sweet images and sentiments in this set as well. So we are making a really simple project, but it gives a chance for you to see the dies in action and also a little strip of the designer series paper. Now this is a Parakeet Party card base. And then I used fresh freesia, just pulling from the colors in the designer series paper. Let me find my card, get all of my pieces out of my envelope. So be sure and watch for your ribbon. Now what I did not do for you guys is score. So you'll need your trimmer or scoreboard. Nope, am I doing that wrong? Yes, I am. It's going to be scored at 4 1/4. It's 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, scored at 4 1/4. So I was really having a lot of trouble with my arthritic hands when I prepped the kits. So I knew that you guys would not mind scoring those, or a lot of times you can just fold that over. So it's scored at 4 1/4, or just fold that card base in half. Then you've got a couple layers. Whoops. You've got a couple layers here. First one is your inside panel, your basic white, and we'll add that. This is such cute, cute paper. We used this suite at Bingo a couple weeks ago with the in colors, because a lot of them are represented in this paper. Now, I think you could use either side of this paper. It's really kind of up to you. And it is just a little shy of this piece of cardstock. So we'll go ahead and add this. Again, you've got some options as far as where you want to put your paper. We'll put this on. Be sure to leave yourself enough room to stamp your sentiment. Get that lined up where there's just a little bit of a border on either side, and then also at the bottom. And this is one of my favorite sentiments from this set. I need my piercing mat again. And this time I'm using Starry Sky ink. And just line it up right up here. Close that ink pad before I have more ink on my fingers. And now we're just going to add a tiny bit of ink, of glue, sorry, to our little cup, the decorative portion of our cup. So there is a stamp like this, but because I cannot stamp for you, just did the die cutting so you would get an idea of how cute this set is. I think I just tore it. Uh-oh. I had glue on my fingers and it kind of tore, but I'm going to make it work. So that just layers right over your cup. Mine's going to be a little bit messed up because of that. I'll have to go back and cut another die cut. It's stuck to my finger. But for now, we'll just make it work. And then we're going to add that little teacup with some dimensionals, if I can find where I put them. I'm not a tea drinker, but this set is just darling, and I did put that on there a little bit at an angle. And then you've got a piece of the new In Color ribbon. Now, again, this may not be the same color as what I am using. I've got Parakeet Party. I used a couple different colors when prepping the kits. This is like a glittered ribbon, and it's really, really cute. And it looks like I gave you plenty. Don't know that I grabbed any glue dots. Let me look in my little adhesive bin and see if I have any out. I may have to put a tiny dot of glue. And what I may do is put it up here. And cover up my boo-boo. There's always a way to camouflage when we make a mistake, isn't there? I think that's going to work. I can keep that on there. I don't know why my glue is leaking. That happened yesterday too with that bottle. Now I've got a mess. I think I've got a problem with that bottle. Let me use the back of my chamois. Okay. Sorry, guys. For some reason, I think that bottle is leaking from the side. I'm going to put that one aside and grab a different one for the next project. Okay, so we are finished up with project number 2. Cute little teacup card. And we'll move on to project 3. This is a really, really pretty card that we've got here with a lot of detail. And this one, I'm featuring the Happiness Abounds stamp set. One of the sentiments. This is probably my favorite stamp set so far. with the beautiful die cut out of the side there. Let's grab our kit, get all the pieces out. Now again, you have lots of different colors of this card. So you may have yellow, you may have pink, or I think even blue. Let's score our card base again. I prepped 40 of these kits, and some days my hands work better than others. So, just couldn't do all that scoring that day. Use our bone folder, and again, this is the thick basic white that we're using. And a really pretty ribbon. So the way that I did this was just used this die cut and designer series paper on this piece of Melon Mambo cardstock. Now again, you may have a different color, and I'm going to just adhere this down with a little bit of liquid glue in a couple of places where I've got room to do that, and I'm bringing it all the way over to the edge of the cardstock. That glue's working better and not leaking. And then I just want to look at this piece of designer series paper and figure out which way I want it to go. And we'll add that, and it is going to cover that piece of cardstock to the right and overlap the die cut just a little bit. But I want that color peeking through that pretty die. So intricate and pretty. Next, I'm going to take my ribbon, and I like to use, when I learned this, I'm wanting to say, it may have been from my pink stamper. She always called this the cheater method, but it's a great way to utilize your ribbon for a couple of different reasons. For one, you're able to use a piece of Scotch tape to hold that ribbon, and it doesn't take, let me get a different Scotch tape. There we go. It doesn't take as much ribbon as when you go all the way around, so it helps you kind of conserve your ribbon. The other reason I like to do it this way is it makes it easier if you're tying a bow or a knot. It just makes it easier to get it positioned the way that you want it. Put another little tiny piece of Scotch tape there to hold that down. And then on my first card, I did come underneath with that extra little bit and tied it in a knot. You can add that if you want. Don't know that I'm going to have quite enough to do that this time. It's pretty close. What I may do and give myself quite enough ribbon to do that. Just whatever you like. I just find this easier than wrapping it around and then tying the knot. And another benefit of this is I can move it. So maybe this time I want it down at the bottom, then I could move it around. I can just slide it before I tighten it down. So whatever you like. Okay, we are ready to add that panel to our card front. I'm just making sure the video still is working. I'm having some trouble with Facebook kicking me out sometimes. We've got a little bit of a border all the way around. You could certainly use dimensionals and pop that panel up if you want to have that dimension as well. That would be pretty. And then we'll stamp our sentiment. And I gave you a nice large die cut so you can really use whatever you would like to. Got the stamp on here a little bit wonky. Hoping I'm not getting my head in the camera, but if I am, I'm sorry. Okay. Clean that stamp off. And I love this die cut. Gives you a little bit of texture around the edges there with a little bit of embossing. This actually comes from the suite that has the masculine products, and we'll be using it next, so you'll get to see this die. And then you can just add this wherever it seems to work for you with the pattern of your designer series paper. I think I may put this one over just a little bit. So you've got options just kind of based on your piece of designer series paper and how the pattern is situated. So a super simple card, but I think it turned out really pretty. And that just gives you a little sneak peek of this paper in this stamp set. Okay, one last project. And as I said, this comes from the masculine suite. He's the man, and He's All That is the stamp set. It has a fabulous set of dies that I think are going to be super versatile for us. That's where that last sentiment die cut came from. So lots of options with these dies, and lots of options with this suite all the way around. So really, for whatever guy you have in your life that you need a card for, I think you're going to be able to find something for them. So this time we are making another super simple card, really featuring the designer series paper. Let me get all of the things over here. And our last envelope full of goodies. We will score our card base again at 4 1/4. So these are all 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, scored at 4 1/4. And this is Cajun Craze cardstock, which a lot of times I only use in the fall. So it's nice to be able to put those to good use. I think I want to wait on that. Let's go ahead and adhere this panel down. Find my glue that's not leaking again. And we'll put that inside panel. Now you could certainly stamp on the inside. During the month of May, in my Finding Inspiration videos on Friday, we've been talking about how to decorate the inside of our projects. So if you haven't seen those, you can catch those over on YouTube. Now you have got 4 pieces of designer series paper, and you can really put these on this front panel however you like them. I think I'm going to mix it up a little bit. And you're just going to leave a small border at the top and bottom and on the sides. So these are actually 3 3/4 strips, 3 3/4 by 1 1/4, I believe. And this panel is 5 1/4 by 4. And I'm just bumping those right up against that last piece. Leaving that border on the side, but no room in between the strips. And I think I may put those two lighter pieces, the Sahara sand piece, on either end. Whatever looks good to you. Well, and it looks like I left a little bit too much of a border at the bottom, but I don't have much at all at the top, but that's okay. I might actually be able to overlap that just a tiny, tiny bit. Get a little bit of a border at the top. Okay. So now we've got our panel done for the front of the card. And just a little bit more to do. We want to stamp our sentiment on this small piece of basic white. Just centering it. See how straight I get it with my equipment up above. Let's try that one more time on the back. That's why paper has two sides, right? Let's see which one is better. I think it's going to be this one. And then I'm just going to mat the sentiment on a small piece of Cajun Craze cardstock. And then of course we're going to pop this up onto our project. I am really, really loving this suite. Okay, let that dry for a second. Find my dimensionals. And you can center this sentiment. You can really do whatever you'd like. I may even bring mine over to the other side just to show you a little bit different look. I may actually do it just like that. So you've got lots of options. And then you've got a small piece of early espresso ribbon. Now this is one that carried over from our annual catalog. Gosh, I think maybe even a couple of years ago. It is one of my favorite ribbons. And I just tied that in a little knot. And then if it's too long, you can trim the tails. I try to be sure to give you plenty of ribbon just a little knot. And then when I find my glue dots, oh, there they are. Must be living right. Found them. We'll add that with a glue dot. So it's just a little accent piece. So we can use ribbon even on masculine cards. Okay, so there's our final project. I hope that you enjoy this little sampling of new products from the annual catalog. Again, let me know if you have any questions, if you need any help, if you want to order any of these supplies. Be glad to help you with that. Thanks so much.